Our content is presented by BetOnline, which is your number one source for the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup playoffs this season. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game is over, head on over to our online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on all the action. Use promo code BELIEVE. That is BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online. The game starts here.
The EA Sports college football video game is coming out this year. It's back, in case you hadn't heard. But a lot of buzz surrounding it. Guess what's not back? That's the EA Sports college basketball video game. We don't know if it's ever coming back. Some of us are still out here playing College Hoops 2K8 with updated rosters. But we decided, how fun would it be to go through and, if there was a video game college basketball this year, rating the SEC players that should be in the top 10 of the player ratings. So if we had to rank our top 10 SEC players based on how they should be rated in a video game that came out for the 24-25 season, that's what we decided to do. Or more specifically, it's what Max has decided to do because he has the player ratings. I don't. I have my top 10 list. Max went a step further, put his ratings together for the players. Got a lot of 80s, a lot of 90s. No 100s here, Max. We don't have the perfect player in the SEC. There's always room for improvement. But we're going to start at the bottom. We're going to count down. But before we get there, Max, give me some honorable mention guys on your list that did not make the top 10, just outside that group.
Okay, so I had a few honorable mentions. I just want to preface here. My number one spot is a 98. Okay, no 99s in this over here. All right. And then my number 10 is an 88. Okay, trying to give you a little bit of context there. So I had three other guys that were 88 that I just barely missed. And that was Mark Mitchell coming over from Duke, going to probably play the 4, maybe a little small ball 5, who knows. I got him as an 88, bit of a jack of all trades. He's going to have good rebounding, good defense, probably pump the ratings up a little bit. And then right above him, well, not even right above him, tied at 88, I've got Collin Murray-Boyles, probably going to be a 84, 85 at game release. And then after maybe the January roster update, he'll be an 88. And then I also got T-Mark, Mr. T-Mark as an 88. I got him as the 11, call it 10.5, call it 10.25. He really should be up there. We just had to be restricted to 10, but you can't have a conversation about this and not have Tramon Mark.
I had a tough time. So I'll just tell you, like my 10 and 11, I had a tough time with Collin Murray-Boyles and Josh Hubbard. Those are the two that I have at 10 and 11. I could probably mix and match those two. We'll say that's kind of my take your pick at number 10.
The young guys.
The young guys. The young guys who did so much last season, their ratings are going to skyrocket probably this season. They may just not be rated ahead of these guys to start the season. There you go. That's the best way to put it. Perfectly put. All right. Number 10 on your list.
Number 10, we have a newcomer to the league. Welcome to the SEC, Mr. Hoggard. Welcome to Nashville, wow. AJ.
An upset, I think.
Coming at my top 88. So this is a solid 88. Just I could not keep him off. The guy, the March Madness runs, 4 years with Izzo. How is he not an 88?
Sparty to Commodores, the 88. I was surprised. I didn't think he'd maybe make the top 10 on your list. So I can see him in the, I kind of had him in my list of players to consider. But
there's so many players
to have him in the top 10 for some people. So that's good for Vanderbilt. Good for Vanderbilt fans. You should be excited. The top 10. All right, as I said, my top 10, just, take your pick. Collin Murray-Boyles, Josh Hubbard, one of the youngsters. Give me them in one of those spots. But I feel, my 9 is a little more a little bit better ranked probably. So, all right, number 9, Max, for you.
Number 9, my first 89. We're getting up there now. We have got a guy who I believe should not be in college anymore, but he came back. Thank the Lord. Welcome to the number 9 spot, Matthew Murrell.
Matthew Murrell, who is also number 9 on my list.
All right.
Number 9, Matthew Murrell. The Rebels. Max's Rebels looking to take a big step forward this year after a great start last year. Not so great finish, but Matthew Murrell is back for another go round.
Jumping up, I have got a transfer, but we've seen a lot of them. Jonas Aidoo in
Also,
the SEC.
my number 8's on my list. So
You're kidding
there
me.
you go. Jonas Aidoo. As Max knows, I've done a little shuffling with my list. Maybe this may not be our first take, folks. Spoiler alert. But I've done a little shuffling on my list. Jonas Aidoo winds up at number 8 on mine as well.
I know there was a sour taste there, a little sour ending to the year, but I mean, I want to say 75% of the year, he was in the Ken Pom top 5 for player of the year in the SEC. He was right around 4 or 5 like most of the year. Give me Aidoo at an 89. Think that's fair. Jumping up also in 89. This is the last 89 now, so we're at that top end of the 80s here. Mr. Zakai Zeigler. Welcome, Zeegs. Do not tell me you have Zeegs in the same spot.
Number 7 on my list, Zakai Zeigler. So we're really doing well here. We did not share our list with each other beforehand.
Swear.
But here we are. 9 through 7 are the same. I'll give Zakai Zeigler an extra. Give me Zakai Zeigler the 90. Forget the 89s. Give me a 90 for the all-world defensive player who may have to play a bigger role offensively this year. We'll see. The assist man. Give me Zakai Zeigler as
His
a 90.
passing and steal rating is what really.
Give me 100 on the steal rating. Give me a 100. All right,
okay.
Number 6.
Number 6, I'm breaking into the 90s. We're breaking into the 90s, folks. Give me Johnell Davis, the face of the Razorbacks this year. At a clean 90 overall.
We're going to differ on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Grant Nelson. I was thinking about swapping my list, but I'm going to go with Grant Nelson at number 6 on my list, which, again, keep in mind, we're rating these players. They're not that far off, so even though we have to rate them 1 through 10, a lot of these guys either have the same rating, or maybe we would project them to have the same rating, or so you can mix and match. Like, there's not a huge difference. But I'm going to go with Grant Nelson at number 6. I think I put him in the 90s, too. So.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say I left off Chad Baker-Mazara. I had him at an 87. I've got Johnell Davis at 6 as a 90. So
yeah, right. So yeah,
it's not that much.
Top 5.
Top 5. Funny you just mentioned a fellow because I've got him at number 5. Give me Grant Nelson with a 91. I don't think he has any business being in college. That's an NBA player right there. 91. Showed a little bit of inconsistency with the perimeter offense and a little bit of foul trouble here and there. So I couldn't pump him up too much, but I expect big things from Mr. Nelson this year.
What would Grant Nelson's dunk and traffic rating be?
It actually broke the EA Sports system, a short circuit.
101. It's actually a 101. Okay. I get it. Yeah, he would have a very high dunk and traffic rating. All right.
Number 5.
Top 5 for me. Number 5, I got Walter Clayton. So give me the Gators guard, number 5.
Another guy I believe has no business. That's an NBA player. I also have him maybe a little bit higher. At number 4, I've got Wade Taylor, 93. 93. I've got him at number 4. Little bit of the inefficiency, the percentages, the rating system that we use at EA. Didn't really like some of it, but I had to go in there and let them know a little bit of the history of Wade Taylor and what he does for the team. So we got Wade Taylor up there. Don't worry, Mr. Wade T, 93.
All right, so number 4, I've got Johnell Davis, and I know some people may think that's a little high. Because I think some people would argue Clayton should be ahead of Davis. But like I said, if I was rating these guys, I think I would have them as very similar, if not the same rating. So I could justify saying I would put Walter Clayton at 4, Davis at 5, whatever you want to do there. This is just the order I put them in. But I do think Johnell Davis, we talked about it in the video, I think he's a first-team All-SEC guy. I think he's an SEC Player of the Year candidate. If Arkansas, is in contention there. And, yeah, I think this guy has everything you want, and so yeah, I would put him right there here in the top 5. So
I don't think you can leave him out. So top 3 here now. Top 3. Just had Wade Taylor as a 93. We have our second 93. the Gators' main
Mr.
man,
Clayton.
Walter Clayton Jr.
Nice.
So Wade Taylor 93, Walter Clayton 93. I separate them by pretty much nothing.
All right. Well, I got Wade Taylor as my number 3 guy.
There you go.
He's at number 3. Like I said, I think this is where I could probably swap the last 4 guys I mentioned: Nelson, Clayton, Davis, Taylor. I could put Clayton at 3. I would probably be the high man on putting Davis at 3. I could see people argue to put Nelson at 3. Like I don't think there's much that separates them. They may all have the same rating, but I'll go Wade Taylor at 3 for me. Which brings us to our top 2, and this is where, if you want to think about everything we've mentioned to this point, the biggest debate is going to come on which player we rank higher between number 2 and number 1 here, because to me, these are your clear-cut SEC player. There is a tier 1 SEC player of the year. I think I could, again, make the argument for Clayton, Davis, Taylor in that category. But there is no argument whatsoever of putting these 2 guys outside of that category. And so we have to make a decision here. And again, we're not going to get a split reaction to this at all, are we? By picking 1 and 2. So, Max, the grand question, and I think you could have a cop-out here if you wanted to. You could theoretically say these 2 guys have the same rating, and therefore you can say I have them in this order, but they have the same rating, so therefore there's no difference. Or you could grow a pair here and actually put one of them at number 2 and one of them at number 1 and say I'm going to rate this player higher than this player. Let's find out which category you're going to go with here.
That's exactly what I've done here.
Look at you.
All right. So, don't get me wrong. This was not an easy decision. So I had Walter Clayton and Wade Taylor at 93 at 4 and my 4 and 3 spot. We jump up to 97 and 98 here. So the difference here was by 1 point. I think one person's, by the EA numbers, the EA calculations. Okay, now you got to think like you're a game developer here.
I know where you're going. I know who's 1. I know who 2.
There were some extra stats that just somehow with the algorithm, the ratings bumped them up another just 1 rating. So that is why I don't have the same rating. I've got Mark Sears at 97 and I have Johnny Broome at 98. But I will be playing the video game with Mark Sears much more than I would with Johnny Broome. I mean, I'm talking, if you get on an NBA game, a 2K game, anything, and you have a 99 overall center, you're like, okay, cool, he's going to get me some rebounds. I don't know all the post moves in video games and everything. I'm taking Mark Sears and I'm shooting the ball 100 times from 30 feet out. That's what I'm doing. But, yeah, we got a slight difference.
Mark Sears just led the Alabama Crimson Tide to a Final Four. He decided to come back for another season. He averaged 22 points per game last year, 4.2 rebounds, 4 assists, almost 2 steals.
Unbelievable.
Shot 51%, shot 44% from 3. Johnny Broome, an incredible season last year, 16.5 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, 2.2 assists, 2.2 blocks, even almost had a steal. Shot 55% from the floor, shot 35% from 3. Since you picked Johnny Broome at 1, I'm going Mark Sears at number 1 on my list to be different. That way we both get yelled at equally.
There we go.
I'm going to go with, it's the developer rankings. Like you said, I'll go Mark Sears with just a tiny edge as a one rating point difference between these 2.
Now that I think about it, though, when we look at this, like, this is going to be very, very cool. Like, I am grateful that Mark Sears came back in these Alabama-Auburn games, and now you have the Aiden Holloway factor, and it's literally like, I'm not joking. I know I'm going to always be optimistic on the SEC, but Johnny Broome and Mark Sears legitimately like top 5 players in the nation, no matter what conference you're in, and we get to watch them go head-to-head twice, at least twice. That's going to be awesome.
Right. Player ratings, quickly we wrap up. Player you feel like you're frustrated that you feel like you should have ranked them higher. I've got one of them for mine.
That I should have ranked higher or I left off.
Well, either way, one that you feel like should have been ranked higher. You should have, now that you initial glance at your list, you're like, man, I probably should have moved that guy a bit higher.
You go first. You seem like you got one.
Or maybe you have no regrets, and maybe you're completely happy with your list, as you should be. I think Walter Clayton, I would move up to number 3 on my list.
Okay.
Because the more I look at his numbers, I'm just like, I think we forgot just because Florida was inconsistent at times last year. Defensively, they were just not great at times. But I think we sort of forget how good and because he played along Zion Pullen. And I think it's like, if you remove that from the equation, now Elijah Martin's there. But, man, I just think you sometimes look at what Clayton did. He was rock solid last year.
Yeah.
So I'd probably move him higher. I am very high on Johnell Davis. Maybe I would swap the two, but like I said, I could see them having the same percentage. If we did this as a video game, I could see them all with the same rating, maybe.
Yeah, I think I like my list. I wish I could have talked about Jaxson Robinson and Chad Baker-Mazara. Those two wings. I feel like I don't have a lot of wings here. It's a lot of either like point guard or big man. And I didn't fit a lot of wings in. So if there was a guy, I'm like, God, geez, I wish we could have done 12 or something. Baker-Mazara and Jaxson would have been on mine.